Back. I'm going to get rid of the Alabama hat now that we're done with the Crimson Tide. Nate Oates, big win there. We are always presented by BetMGM. And the big story tonight, I think maybe even bigger than Alabama bouncing back, was Michigan State not bouncing back after the loss at the Breslin Center to in-state rival Michigan. They go to the barn. They play a Minnesota team that, is on a 7-game losing streak, RC, and they kind of laid an egg early. They're down 16 points with 4 minutes left. They were listless, couldn't play their two bigs. Kohler was okay. Cooper couldn't really play in this game. And Minnesota's got like 5 dudes. They don't have any bench. They have no bench. And Michigan State made a run at the end to make it a game. But, to me, this says a little bit about this Spartans team right now and kind of where they're at, RC. How concerned are you that we put them in a tier that they probably didn't belong in for a while there?
I think we always put them in that tier in a sense of because of Izzo. In a sense, we just know how great of a coach he is, and we put him there because they just battle. When you count them out, they respond. I thought this was a tough matchup, man. And Minnesota hit shots early, and they spreaded them out. They were cutting, they were backdooring them, they were knocking down threes, and it forced them to play small. And once they did that, it looked like they just weren't the tougher team at that point. I'm still surprised by the game. I mean, because it really wasn't as close as the final score. They made shots later in the game to make it closer than I really thought it was. I never thought it was, it was a one-possession game. Credit Minnesota. Nico Medved did a hell of a job with his group. I had them early in the year as well. Didn't think they were very talented. But give them credit. They made enough shots early to extend the lead, and Michigan State struggled to shoot from 3 at times. They did make 9, I think, tonight at some point, ended up with that. But again, I credit to Minnesota. I think Sparty, they'll be fine. I mean, they'll make adjustments and be back. I just don't know if we're not putting them on Michigan level. I don't think many teams are on Michigan's level.
No, I mean, I agree, Juro. Like, to me, again, I don't think they're a team that can win 6 straight. I'll never count Tom Izzo out from getting to the Final Four. He could have the 3 of us, Doster and Fana.
Yes.
And I still think he'd find
in my bracket, he's in the Sweet 16. He's gonna get to the Sweet. He's gonna win 2 games, and then after that, I mean, I don't think anybody's expecting any more out of this group, right? That's a good year.
Yeah, they just don't. For me, they don't have enough shooters. So, like, offensively, they're so limited. Is this team kind of capped out at a Sweet 16, you think?
I think so. And, I mean, just unusually, like RC said, I think, this is one of the teams that kind of scares you, and they could end up making a first weekend exit, like, you know what I mean, because of the offensive challenges, like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of been a running thing that we've been saying about Michigan State the last couple of years. Well, do they got enough shooting? But even this year, it just becomes like, do they have enough playmaking or scoring in general? So, like, the shooting woes, guys are going to hit shots some nights, and some nights they're going to miss shots. I can kind of live with that. But now it's just, everything is predicated on Jeremy Fears, essentially pick and roll situations, or Kohler. And when one of those guys is off, it doesn't really matter who they're playing. If they're not in East Lansing, they're going to have a hard time to win. So that's going to be something that's not necessarily going to translate in a great way, especially when you start talking about playing neutral court site games and things like that. They don't got a lot of shooting and things like that. But tonight was just a little bit off because, like y'all said, I feel it was a 3-point game to finish, man. But they got smacked around a little bit, and Minnesota kind of carved them up on the offensive end. And again, just more credit because I, for whatever reason, I guess it's just because I'm in Chicago too. I've gotten a chance to see a little bit more. Like, Medved is completely stamped that plays now. Is back to kind of like the old barn, you know what I mean, Jeff, where it's like, man, people gonna dread, like, the rest of the way, you're gonna have to be on high alert going into the rest of the season, regardless. Like, you know what I mean? They beat a Michigan State team and they had lost 7 in a row. Like, they're gonna get some people at home, and the way that they play, I love it. I love the movement. I love the way they move the ball. They got 5 guys who can essentially be threats on the offensive end. They pass, they cut. Yeah, and when they make shots, they can be really hard or a challenge to guard on the defensive end.
We'll talk about this one a little bit, but Oklahoma State just knocked off number 16 BYU in Stillwater. That'll be Steve Lutz's biggest win of his career so far at Oklahoma State. But the side note, the other storyline to the Michigan State loss is Jeremy Fears, who, remember in the last game, kicked out his foot and tried to trip Yaxel Lendenborg. Then Yaxel was going in for a layup and pushed him when he was airborne. Dusty May had a comment saying there were several plays that were very dangerous involving Fears. Izzo he didn't clap back. He just said, I don't care what Dusty says. But there were some things that Jeremy did, and we addressed it. Well, tonight he gets a technical for kicking Langston Reynolds in the cojones there with about 13 minutes left. And
Jeff.
Yes.
I'll say this on that play. I'm separating the Michigan thing. I'm not making an excuse for that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But I think that play has happened more times than not. What happened tonight? Meaning you get bumped, you're trying not to lift your pivot foot up, and you just trying to hook or grab your leg. And I don't think I'm just saying I don't think the situation tonight was as malicious as what happened in Michigan. That's all I'm saying against Michigan. That's what I mean today. I think before I'm not excusing him for what he's had, but it's been an accumulation of it, and it's almost like, hey, after you do it a couple of times, you can't come past that.
RC, you got to see the rest of the film though. I said the same thing about the kick. I was like, I don't know if I can flat out for sure say it was egregious, but man, he got about 3 or 4 more plays just in the game tonight. The kind of forearm shiver on the fast break, which I didn't necessarily hate. It's a little bit high. Don't let him get an and one, but you know what I mean. It was a little bit high. He had another one where he was like on the ground. Kind of looked like he tried to trip the one kid, and he had like one more play besides that. I don't know. And again, I'm probably a little bit too close to this. I played around the same time that his dad was in high school. Me and his dad been knowing each other for years. He went to Joliet High School out this way. I seen him and his brothers kind of go through the EYBL circuit for the last couple of years. Great kid, great family. So. Yep. For sure not a character thing, but I cannot sit here and act like I don't know, like it was shit. Like is it Halloween? Like, he tried to turn into the Black Grayson Allen in the last 2 games. RC, I'm like, damn, what is going on?
Right there, there's the quote of the night from Jarrell tonight. Yeah, he nails it right now. All right, can we? Let's hear what Tom Izzo had to say though post game about Fears.
Yeah, well, when somebody comes out and publicly says something about a guy, that sometimes happens, but that's Jeremy's fault. And I made sure I cleared all that up. I think the officials knew it. I talked to them. I did not see what happened in the play. I saw him get pushed, and I saw his leg come up, and I didn't think he hit anybody, but if he did, then he deserves it, I guess. But if he didn't, I questioned it. So are they baiting him? Well, of course. Of course, when you go public with something, you should get baited. And it's his fault. And I make no bones about it. I sat him for a while, and I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to start him the next game. But I stuck up for him, too, because what happened in the last game, I'll just say what happened in the last game, the way that was handled was poorly too, and so that starts everything. But Jeremy's got to grow up.
Yeah, I mean, Izzo usually doesn't mince words, right? He's usually pretty good about holding his guys accountable, and I think here he'll watch the tape again and probably have another heart-to-heart with Fears, and he might make a statement and bring him off the bench next game. My take on Fears is, Grayson, it was a pattern over and over and over. And I think Fears, it'll be interesting to see if Fears talks about this as well. But I think Fears plays so damn hard. He's not a great offensive player, so he's got to kind of take pride on the other side of the floor. And sometimes he probably goes a little bit overboard with that, RC.
No, I won't. It's just funny because Trevor just sent me the clip of what, Jarrell, what
Yeah.
you was just talking about when he came across
Yeah.
high with the elbow. That is high. I was only speaking to the one play when he picks his dribble up and then where he got the technical foul. Like as a guard, you're trying to keep balance. That's happened more times than people care to acknowledge. Now, all the other stuff, again, I'm not exalting on it. It's a little bit.
So what do
extra.
you do with him?
I think
Do you bench him? If you're Izzo, do you bring him off the bench and kind of make a statement without it really being that big a deal because we know Fears will be in there when it matters.
Can he now if Devon Ogachukwu is out, can he bring him off the bench?
Good point.
If he's
You're
hurt,
right.
like, you know what I mean? Like, so can he do that now? I don't know if he can. He's afforded the luxury of doing that right now.
They don't have another point
listen,
guard.
when it gets to a point where you're hurting the team, then you got to do something. He's got to get a control of this right now because they're not overly talented where they get it. They have a margin for error, like where they can just get away with technical fouls and everything else. So they need all hands on deck for Michigan State to be at their best. So if he's hurting the team, you got to do what you got to do. But that injury, right now, he's the only other point guard I think that you would trust, and particularly now that you're coming down the final stretch, heading into getting ready for the Big Ten tournament. So, I'm sure they'll have all the clips, all the edits of every incident, and sit down and talk to him about that. But like I said before, I was only speaking to that one particular play. All the other stuff, I don't, I'm no different than his coach. I wouldn't clarify. But if you're hurting your team, then something's got